M3GAN 2.0 is the sequel to the critically and financially successful M3GAN. We're again following Katie and Gemma trying to move past the trauma left behind by M3GAN, only to discover there is a new killer robot out there named Amelia, forcing them to seek some help from M3GAN herself. And that's all. Putting aside any spoilers, you guys, this will be a spoiler-free review. Got the M3GAN head. I can't believe M3GAN got a sequel. That first movie was just so brilliantly marketed, and they found a way to hit an audience that would go out and see it. TikTokers. Probably the best decision at the time because it made a lot of money. People tend to like the film. But in the long haul, I do wonder how that fares because it was clearly supposed to be a horror franchise, down to the point that they removed all the rated R scenes so they could make it PG-13 to appease the TikTok crowd. So it really shouldn't have been all that shocking when the trailers for M3GAN 2 came out and it almost stripped away every horror element and just leaned in fully into the comedy. I think we were all expecting that, but I was not expecting the bonkers, ridiculous action they would include. This Terminator 2-esque plot of M3GAN now being a good guy, sci-fi action sequences. I had to remind myself, this is still a Blumhouse movie, right? This Blumhouse is still behind this? It seemed like a clear dividing line that they're pivoting one way, they're going all the way with it, and you're either up for the ride or you're just like wiping your hands going, this ain't for me, man. Since I'm a big fan of Killer Dolls, you know I was gonna give it a shot either way. And I was surprised going into the movie, it's actually not as silly as the trailers paint it to be. For starters, just wipe away the fact that this was ever a horror franchise, because this sequel is not a horror movie in the slightest. Do people die? Yes. Is there a little bit of blood spatter or moments where they try to push the envelope for PG-13? Sure. But by no means is this actually a terrifying movie, a scary film, and I don't mind that. Maybe if we had 3 or 4 movies where M3GAN was legitimately terrifying, fueling my nightmares and keeping me awake, I would be pissed to see her saying phrases like, hold on to your vaginas. But the character started off goofy, sassy, and with this pretty hilarious personality. To only see them inject more of that, I'm okay with it. But it's like I was mentioning, from the trailers, you get this idea that they're fully leaning into the dumb fun nature of the movie and going this extremely silly and over the top route. And while all those scenes in the trailer are in this film and they do happen as they play out in the movie, it doesn't feel as absurd or over the top. The movie has a pretty logical and kind of interesting take on AI, because that's the biggest development in our society right now. Almost every movie nowadays is going to be talking about AI, down to the last Mission Impossible movie. And with M3GAN being an evil robot built off AI, they go an interesting angle with it that I was kind of taken back by. They really try to paint this picture that since AI is machine learning, everything that we saw of M3GAN in her first movie was her as a kid trying to figure out what to do, trying to understand her programming, and now she's had 2 years to learn from her errors, thus making her a good guy in a sense. And that's a pretty fun part of the movie. There's a moment where Katie and Gemma are about to go through a home invasion. Someone's coming in and stir up, and M3GAN, using the smart house and its technology, is able to defend them with like ice cubes in the fridge, drawers opening up. And there's a lot of stuff like that in the movie where they really take advantage of everything connected to a computer or Wi-Fi network, and how M3GAN or Amelia could take advantage of that to just wreak havoc on a city or a group of people. And well, speaking of M3GAN herself, she's just as funny, sassy, and hilarious as I remember. I love the personality they give M3GAN. Her smart remarks or just punchlines I thought were the best part of this movie. You know, the creators of this franchise talked that there could be 5 M3GAN movies in total if they wanted, and just if they keep up this personality and the way they're having her grow through each movie as an AI learns over time, I kind of would love to see M3GAN grow up and how that crazy personality of hers develops. But M3GAN wasn't the only one tossing out laughs. You have a character in here played by Jermaine Clement. He's a stereotypical rich billionaire with a tech company, and the little moments he has where he's using his version of VR was so funny. Putting aside how much the movie made me laugh, though, the action is brought up a notch. I don't want to say this is like top-notch level action sequences, but they put a lot of effort into a lot of the fights, specifically between M3GAN and Amelia, or a group of soldiers in M3GAN. Some of it feels very standard, but it's enough that it keeps you entertained, and really that's what just ended up surprising me, because yeah, this movie is going the Fast and Furious route. In fact, there are times where I'm like, they're just stealing the blueprint for a Mission Impossible movie. Because I think there's a strong argument to be made that M3GAN 2.0 is Diet Mission Impossible. Watch out, Tom Cruise. Hold on to your vagina, because Megan's coming for it. That's how much they stray away from the horror in this film, that it does feel like a rip-off Fast and Furious or Mission Impossible movie where there's even characters surrounded by a high-tech hologram going, all right, this facility's highly taken. We have to go in through this duct, do this thing. And it's just so funny that that's how much the series has evolved in one film. But okay, if I had to get on some things that are gonna hold it back... Oh! Mission Impossible mask ripoff! I told you, Tom Cruise, to hold on to your vagina. I think for some, it is going to be a big negative that all the horror elements are basically gone. Maybe in the future, they can go back to that in another sequel or whatnot, but it feels like this is the new trajectory for Megan, and that kind of sucks, because I think if it wasn't about the money, there would be a lot of horrific and crazy things we would see Megan do, but she's limited to that now because she's a PG-13 star. I think the movie does overstay its welcome. Like I said, I was actually pretty entertained with the plot they had, and I thought it was a lot more focused and not as wacky as the trailers painted it to be, but towards the end of the movie it really starts to overstay its welcome, and once you get to this twist, to that twist, to this reveal, it feels like the film does drag on. Amelia herself I thought was an interesting villain. There's a lot of cool things they do with her, and there's something about her towards the end I thought was fascinating, but the movie doesn't really explore that, and if anything, they breeze by it so quickly, I thought it was kind of a shame. And maybe just a personal thing, I hope they keep it interesting, because I wasn't really a big fan of where things ended for Megan by the end of this movie. I'll even say the movie's messaging gets so muddled, it doesn't know whether it wants to say AI bad or AI okay sometimes. Because they have flipped the narrative now that Megan can be a good guy, the movie teeter-totters on whether to send the message that all AI should be destroyed or some AI is okay as long as we know how to use it. And that really sucks, because for a movie that looked like it was going to be so stupid and wacky, they were bringing up some really clever points about the way AI is used today and how if we maneuver it correctly, it could work to our benefit. It felt more refreshing than a lot of the cliche stuff that we're getting now in some movies. But really, that's about it. And you also know yourself. I do think there will be some people who maybe weren't that big of a fan of the first movie that could walk out just enjoying this one if the trailers interested you. If you're not up for a little doll that's sassy, randomly starts singing and dancing out of nowhere, then yeah, this is not gonna be for you. But if those trailers look fun, I think the movie delivered on that promise. So when it comes to M3GAN 2.0, I'm gonna give action 3.5 stars. I give them props for trying to create some unique action scenes, but I don't think it's really anything that stood out compared to like other action franchises. Comedy in the movie, 4 stars, man. I love Megan's humor, and almost every time she had a quip in this film, I was dying of laughter. Plus a handful of the other supporting characters being kind of funny. Yeah, this was making me chuckle quite a lot. Drama in the movie, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. I was not expecting to go that high on the drama, because the trailers really made me think it was just going to be a stupid story, but they brought up some interesting points on AI, how it works, why Megan can now be considered a good guy, commentary on how it applies to the world. It was more than I was expecting. Doesn't exactly land that message, but I appreciated some of the points it was trying to bring up. Suspense the movie, I'm going to give it 3 stars. There is some moments where it keeps you on your toes and you are wondering if Megan's going to stay bad, go rogue at any point, and I thought that was fun, but it does end up being slightly predictable. And horror in the film, I hate to say it, but it's like 1-star horror. Aside from people getting stabbed or a couple blood spews, there is almost absolutely nothing to be afraid of in this movie. When it comes to the 3 C's, I actually think cinephiles are going to get a big kick out of it. The action sequences, the Terminator-esque plot, the big over-the-top moments, plus the entertainment value from a lot of the humor, I think they'll be the ones most appreciative. So for me personally, I think M3GAN 2.0 is an entertaining enough time to check it out in theaters. Like I said, guys, that is just my opinion on the movie. You know yourself on whether you're interested in the film. If you are, man, you're going to have a blast. I am curious what they plan to do if they want to make it to 5 movies, but we'll wait and see. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.